All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. Today is the video that some of you guys have been waiting on. It is my 2-week follow-up on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Now, I didn't plan on doing a 2-week follow-up. I planned on doing a 7-day follow-up. I planned on doing a 72-hour follow-up. However, once I started using this device, I said, you know what? I gotta just stay with it, and I'll bring them all the content that they keep requesting. So I've done a video almost every day on this phone for you while you're waiting on yours at the recording this video. At the recording this video, nobody really has this phone. It is the 22nd. Now, I'm supposed to get a package tomorrow that I ordered from Samsung for my Z Flip 7. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I've had this device for 2 weeks now, and I'm just gonna report back how I feel about it, and then I also probably more than likely discuss some of the things that you guys just keep wanting to hear about. So this is the cameras on the, this is the rear camera shooting a portrait video on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. And I'll use this phone to record the content for you. There's no LED lighting going. There's 2 windows over here behind the phone open in my dining area. And then all the windows over here, the shades are actually closed. So it's a little bit lower light setting than I typically would shoot in this area. Typically I'll have the blinds open more and I'll have those open, but just kind of giving it to you like this. I am using an external mic, the DJI Mic Mini. I want to give you the best audio possible. Now the phone does have good audio. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I wanted to just since I'm using the device to talk about the device, I want to give you the best audio possible. And the DJI mic is better than the onboard mics of the Samsung Z Fold 7 or any phone that matter, because the phone's mics will come across kind of loud and peak a lot. But nonetheless, let's start it off with battery life. So the battery life on this device for me has been 36 hours. And it's settling in now. It learned my behavior in the first 5 days of using it. At least it said that it did. And so for me, a total charge on this phone has been about 36 hours. Sometimes a little more, once or twice a little more, and sometimes a little less. But 36 hours is about an average of what I can make it with this phone without charging it. And that's ending on like 10% once that 36 hours, if I notice it, you know what I mean? But after the review phase, like after the initial hit for the review phase, I just charge the devices every night. So I won't do that yet with this phone because I'm still in that initial review phase for me, which is 1 to 3 months. Yeah, battery life though, I can't stress enough. It's going to depend on you. So you can watch videos solely on battery and try to gauge it against what yours is going to be, but I can tell you it's going to be different. So just bear that in mind. And my battery life screen on time is what you guys probably want to hear, is roughly between 5 hours to 6.5 hours during these times that I've been using the phone. More towards 6 hours or more towards 5 hours and 45 minutes. But I'm just going to say 5 hours to 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours is the most I've ever noticed on the phone for screen on time. But regularly it's probably 5.5 or 5. Considering they didn't upgrade the battery and they didn't decrease the battery, I'm pretty happy with that. There's a lot of conversation about it should have had a bigger battery, but my point of view when I did the other video on this is, you know, they could have also really decreased the battery. They could have shot the battery down to 4,000 because the device is so slim. Now, while that battery life sounds decent, I would like more, obviously. I mean, I'm not against having a bigger battery and a slim body like this. I'm not against getting more screen on time and more standby time. 2 days usage will be nice. 48 hours usage will be nice. However, I get it. You know what I'm saying? This is a high powered device and, you know, it's being pushed. I'm pushing it for sure because I'm using it right now to record in 4K for you, which is something I've been doing with this device a lot and lots of social media and viewing on it. So a downside about the battery though, for some reason, you know, Samsung just won't go past 25 watt charging. I think it's that fear of the Note 7 debacle that they had. You know, unfortunately, it could shake a company up, and I'm not saying that's exactly why, but there's really no reason that they don't offer in the box or let the phone be capable of charging at 50 watts instead of 25 watts. But I get it. Maybe they're afraid it'll get too hot. The inner screen will burn. I don't know. All I'm saying is that needs to change in the future iterations of this phone. We can't stay stuck at 25 watt charging on such an expensive device. And that leads me into the next thing, the price. The price of this device, it starts at $2,000. And I've already made a video discussing, how the pricing on this device looks like it's getting higher and higher, but it's actually just fluctuating. Do your history on all of the folds and you'll see what they cost. Someone actually tagged me in one of my other comments on another video that I did showing all the pricing. So this phone is priced high. It always has been high. The lowest priced fold was $1,800. That's the lowest priced fold I believe ever existed. Folks, that's a lot of money. That's not a drop in the bucket. So this device starting at $2,000. Another fail is that it comes with $256. So this being a powerhouse device and a device that we want to at least give us a good feeling of everything, you know what I'm saying? Like when in every area as much as possible. It's many areas. 256 gigs. I believe my thoughts on that is the market average is probably 128. Like the storage that people say that they need, and the way big companies can justify this is doing it with average consumers, because the average consumers pay the bills. Tech enthusiasts don't pay the bills. When you think about it, they give out the devices to most of the tech reviews and companies and stuff like that. So they're counting that as a loss they could pick up on the consumer side. So, and there's many other factors, flying everybody out. That's a part of the budget, that they have for marketing and stuff like that. But however, it's still money that they technically lose. And so what they do, probably market analysts probably go to the average consumers because they are the masses. They're the majority. We are not. And they ask them, how much storage do you really need? And they'll get 100 people from somewhere ever, and they go, 128 is way too much. And so then giving a device with 256 gigs sounds like a lot to some of these people when they're used to using phones with 64 gigs and 128 gigs. You credit Apple for something like that, what I'm saying? Still kicking out 64 gig models for $500 and $600. That's just not right. So, I don't knock Samsung or fault them for doing their due diligence on their side, on the business side. I'm saying for $2,000 starting price, it should have been $512. And that's just based on all the devices I have, all the devices I can get, all the devices in the past. I just think $512 will be a starting point. Seeing that this is a high power, your top tier, top of the line device, make it look that way, separate it, you know what I mean? Because the price definitely doesn't match the storage and some of the other things that's going on with this device. So cameras, I'm showing you the cameras. These are the cameras in portrait video. It's no secret that I love shooting in portrait video. This camera does very well in photos. I've already shown you a video for the full official camera review where I shot all 200 megapixel shots. Phenomenal, folks. Absolutely amazing. It's an amazing, the cameras have been upgraded since the previous generation fold device. We can only say so long, well, it doesn't have the Galaxy S25 Ultra's cameras. That's a different class of device, man. That's a different class. It's like Apple bringing out a folding device and it doesn't have the same cameras as the Pro model, but it still has good enough cameras for what they're trying to offer. That's a different area. That's a different arena of device, different class. That's a slab phone. Now, while they brag about the hardware on this thing being thin like a slab, it's not a slab phone. It's a folding device. And I'm not defending it. I'm not saying it's okay. But what I'm saying is, these cameras on this phone are actually really solid. They are really, really good. And so I don't know what these expectations are from people. When you compare it next to the previous generation, it's better. Whether it's a little bit better or just a tiny bit better, the fact is it's better. The previous generation doesn't have a 200 megapixel shooter on it. And the footage to me has proven that. I've matched them next to each other already. Fold 6 versus Fold 7. I've done it already. I just showed it to you. And personally, I feel like the Fold 7's cameras are a smidgen better. Now, when it came to the speaker test, I said I think the 6 was a little bit louder, but the 7 has a more full sound. So you pick and choose what you want to do with that. But nonetheless, I use the products like this to show you this is what it could be like for you. Now, if I go outside, it's going to be even better, son. It's going to be crazy good, like really good. So anybody can shoot with a phone outside. It's always going to be better. So, cameras on this to me have proven themselves. They're better than the 6. I'm going to move on because there's not much I can do about that. Now, the hardware is where Samsung really hammered it home. And I think this was a major upgrade over the previous generation. You just have to see them, excuse me, side by side. Pardon me. You have to see them side by side. You have to use them, and you'll notice that there's the $100 difference between the two is totally worth it. I've already compared them side by side. So and from where I sit, they did a good job on the hardware. This phone right here is thinner than some slab phones, or the same package as a slab phone, but it opens up. That's what it is. So I don't need to talk about the hardware too much. All I can tell you is that if you have a Fold 6, you don't have to upgrade. I have a Fold 6. I'm not trading in my Fold 6, but I still bought another Z Fold 7 because I told you I'm buying the mint versions of all. I always buy like the exclusive colors, and that's what I did. I bought the Mint 7 and the Mint 7 Flip. So they'll be here when they get here. But I personally feel like this is a major upgrade over the 6. But that's just how I feel. You go fill it out how you want to fill it out. And if you don't think the 6 is worth the upgrade, I get it. I'm not hating on it. It's not worth the upgrade to a lot of people. But for me my personal use, I could definitely use this as my only phone and ditch slabs versus the 6. It just feels like the kid who eats ice cream all the time and cheeseburgers and French fries when compared to the 7. No other way to say it. So performance wise, it's a mixed bag because some people will say that it outperforms everything and it outperforms the previous gen. Folks, I don't really care about benchmarks. I just care about if it's going to work. And the fact of the matter is, I don't see that big of a difference in performance versus what I do on the 6 and what I do on the 7. I backed them up from each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's performing the same. I'm doing the same thing on both phones. So it's performing the same. The only way it's outperforming the 6 is camera quality and, the hardware is better and stuff like that. But if you go to the benchmarks, it's probably going to tell you that the 6 is better or the 7 is better than the 6. But I don't do benchmarks. I used to do them back in the day, but I don't do benchmarks. I don't see the point. It does nothing for the average and regular consumers who are wanting to buy these phones because they're going to be like, why do I need to deal with it? You don't need to deal with that. All you need to do is take pictures of your family, shoot video of your family, view your social media, do whatever you do on your phone. Don't worry about benchmarks. They don't prove anything. And again, I can show that with Apple products, or some of the Apple products have lesser specs, but they outperform Android phones. Don't hate on it. They technically do. Some of Apple's lowest tier phones outperforms a lot of the Android phones that are out. And you'll see people posting content about old Android phones versus current iPhones. The fact of the matter is, that's just to get you to check it out and make a conversation negative or whatever. You want to draw some kind of attention. But the point is, specs don't really mean much to me. They mean a little bit, but it's not the deciding factor of should you buy a phone. It's really not. It's a whole bunch goes into it. So performance wise, yeah, I don't see that much difference in the performance of the 6 to the 7. They're doing the same thing and I'm using them exactly the same and I'm still getting a great experience. Now, something that some people want to stay on, I've moved on from it, but I'll discuss it. Is it fair? Is it right that they don't have S Pen support? I'll leave that up to you to determine. But as a person who uses the S Pen and a person who has been using the S Pen on every S Pen device that has come out, I personally would enjoy having S Pen Suite. Like, it'd be cool if they just had the S Pen Suite and told you, hey, we're not giving you an S Pen. Well, they don't give you an S Pen anyway, but give you the option to add the S Pen Suite from the Galaxy Store and a software update, anything. But they took it away. And again, it goes back to that market analysis. How many people actually bought the S Pen case for the 6, the 5, or whatever it was? When you bought it, we all complained, son. We all were like, I can snap this S Pen in half. We found things wrong with it. And then we didn't like that it wasn't inside the phone. So market analysis is, hey, they don't like it, we'll take it away. See, sometimes voicing your opinion on stuff as a creator can hurt you. And I'm not saying this is what they did, but again, they can use the thing like, oh yeah, well, analysis showed that the average consumers, even though they target people like me for these high priced phones for creation and stuff like that, and influencers and stuff like that, but they know that the average consumers pay the bills. So they're going to go to them for the analysis, because if they come to us for the analysis, we're going to be like, no, we want all of this stuff. And then the price will go up even higher or something of that nature. And then average consumer gets left in the dust. Does that make sense? Like, for real, does that make sense to you, man? So I don't know. I personally feel like taking away the functionality of the S Pen, for me, I resolved it. I've always had a little capacitive S Pen stylus or whatever, and it's fine for me. I don't really care. I'm not beating that horse up too much, but I understand and respect the people who really want that. Now, some areas where I think it could improve, again, the charging needs to be faster. The wireless, reverse wireless charging, all that kind of stuff, the wireless charging, it needs to be better. Samsung's official case doesn't have the MagSafe technology, but it's cool, but it costs $100, but you can get it on discount. But still, no MagSafe technology. It's just some things that they're doing. They're cutting the corners in the right area where people might not notice. So I'm gonna give you a new product. I'm gonna give you a new case, but I'm not gonna add in some functionality that the world is now used to. But I'm still gonna charge you a premium price. It happens all the time. So that's just one of the things that goes on when you're buying these products. You have to learn that they're gonna cut some corners and they're gonna try to not hide it, but they're gonna put it in plain sight. And then if you notice it, you notice it. But most average consumers do not notice, and nor do they care to a certain extent. So I would say 2 weeks of using this phone has been one of the best folding phone experiences in a long time. In a long time, meaning the Apple Find N or the OnePlus Open. The OnePlus Open is probably one of the best folding phones released last year. But for Samsung, this is their best folding phone, unfortunately. For a lot of people, and in order to get it, you're gonna have to pay for it. So all those downsides that you can think of for having this phone that you don't like, you're either gonna buy it or you're not gonna buy it. It's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay locked.